Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are playing Neverwinter Nights today, and today is a very special episode because I have with me one of my coworkers and a very special guest, my friend Sophia.
Hello.
Hello. Who actually worked on this game back when it was when it was created. It was this 2001, I think it was released, but probably before that, as far as development is concerned.
Yeah, I think it was released after that, wasn't it? A little after 2001, because that's when I joined.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
it must have been in that if that's the case. But this is sort of a very special episode of the show. I instead of doing our usual ThursDev segment where I talk for 15 minutes about something to do with video games and development in general, instead I thought I'd have a nice little talk with Sophia to talk about sort of life as a developer back in BioWare and sort of through to the current day where she works together with me at AlphaDog Games.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. So now you entered into BioWare in 2001, you said,
Yep.
right around the time. So they were sort of mid-development in Neverwinter Nights at the time, I'm guessing.
Yes.
But yeah, you got in there really early on, I guess. I mean, like they'd done Baldur's Gate and like MDK2 and stuff like that previous to this particular one, but this was fairly early on.
Right, they also had done BG2.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 2 as well. So yeah, you kind of were there to see the company sort of grow from sort of a studio that had some very high profile titles at the very beginning into this massive RPG powerhouse that everybody kind of knows is sort of a household name in video games now.
Yeah, it was kind of nice when I started. There were probably around 100 people, so you would recognize everyone that you saw in the hallways.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know. I worked at a company of 99, and I can't say that I recognized everybody that was there. There would always be a couple of faces you're like, are you someone that works here? Should I be letting you in the front door right now? But right on. So it started at about 100 people. I'm guessing there was some growth between that and by the time you left.
I probably doubled by the time I left.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. So I was looking at the credits of the game back when, shortly before we started recording, and I said that there were about 14 people on the programming team for this one.
Sounds about right.
For just, on at least your side of the programming team. I guess there were graphics programmers who were sort of separately credited, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, so, what part of Neverwinter Nights did you work on specifically?
I worked on gameplay programming. I did the random encounters. I did general UI stuff, and I worked on the scripting language that's available in the toolset for you to script your own campaigns.
The DM tools.
Yep.
Nice. That's pretty awesome. So I've never worked in a company quite that large, but you saw some huge growth over the years, I guess, between then and your last project at BioWare was Dragon Age, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Dragon Age Mass Effect sort of went between the two, yeah. Yeah,
so how would you say that things changed a lot sort of between those two times?
Gosh, that's a sweeping question.
I mean, I can only imagine that they did, but would you have described it as a reasonably small company culture prior to that time, or
yes,
was it always kind of big and?
Out of necessity, that changed because we just had to become more organized with a larger number of people. But the teams that I was in to begin with, we still, stuck together and worked together, and within the team, it didn't change much. It was just the whole structure that got more formal, I guess.
Okay, so it started as sort of a small team, sort of development, skinnier teeth, Wild West type style thing that moved into more of a corporate sort of environment.
That's a nice way to put it. Didn't think of it as Wild West, but okay.
Well, I mean, if I had to give us a name in our current studio, I don't think Wild West is completely out of the question.
That's true.
Yeah. For a little bit of context, so Sophia is lead programmer at AlphaDog Games, under our technical director Jeff, and you do most of the gameplay programming at AlphaDog on our current project Monstrosity, right? I mean, we have a couple of others as well, but you've been there since the very beginning.
I've been there, yeah. So I've done more, partly because I've just been there longer.
Yeah, you were employee number 4 or 5-ish, probably, I guess. Well, if Craig is 1, then I'm 2. If you don't count the original 3. There you go, and their outsourced work to Raoul before you guys showed up, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll get into all of these people eventually. But I wanted to start with Sophia today. So, but yeah, so you're working in a very small company now. I mean, we're not very big. We're less than 20 people at AlphaDog. But so you also worked at was it Pandemic between BioWare and AlphaDog?
No, Disney Propaganda.
Oh, that's probably propaganda, not
Yeah.
Pandemic. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, and you were on.
I was on a game based in the Pirates of the Caribbean world. It was called Armada of the Damned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of the sort of multiple sort of styles of sort of working in video games. I mean, you've kind of experienced big company and sort of tiny little company like what we currently have. Do you find that you sort of thrive in one more than another, or what? How do you feel about sort of the transition that you kind of had to make between those two?
Well, when I started at BioWare, it was about 100, and that was very comfortable because you didn't see this, you saw your team, but there were a lot of other people to talk to. So I was quite comfortable with that. As it grew, it became less, like a family and more corporate. But then I found when coming to AlphaDog, and when I began, there were just the 4 of us, that was really quite awesome because we could be so agile with our changes. So, and as we're starting to grow now, I think that's nicer too, because 4 people isn't that many people in one room for 8 hours a day.
It's not huge, certainly.
It's a bit disconcerting. Those clothes have headless people in them.
I guess you kind of need to see how your upper torso is going to look.
I suppose so.
This is, I guess thinking about it, it's not really something that you do or that you saw very much in sort of later. I changed my gear. Now this was fairly early on as they go in like big 3D RPGs.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know that there were certainly ones that came out before it, but like you guys, BioWare at the time, like they had just finished Baldur's Gate 2 when they moved on to this particular project, and I know that you did mostly like gameplay programming and so on, so you probably weren't necessarily working on tools, but it must have been a big sort of switch between sort of top-down isometric, using, I guess, 3D models for the most part, but I think it was primarily sprite-based.
I didn't, as you know, as I said, I was working on the rules, but even just playtesting it, coming from a view of the isometric view of BG and BG2, this looked absolutely gorgeous, even though today it looks a bit dated.
Well, it might be a little bit dated, but it holds up pretty well considering. I mean, this is from 2001, so this is a good 15 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that's a long time.
Yeah, well, we're not new to the industry, let's just say. Neither one of us, so. No, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think it's pretty great that I feel like I almost got into games just a little tiny bit too late for sort of the things that I wanted to do. I certainly made it in just slightly before mobile was a thing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But like I did most of my development on console. I never really made a PC game before.
Right.
This was exclusively PC, I think, but you moved on to like Jade Empire after this, right?
I was only on that for about a month because I wanted
Only
to
on
get...
Jade Empire for about a month?
Yeah, because I was on
Okay.
Dragon Age at that point.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So Dragon Age was in development for quite a while then.
Yes, it was. It's done when it's done.
Yeah, well, that's if the company is as strong enough that it can take it, it's done when it's done sort of attitude, then all the more power to them. I mean, I'd do that if I could, right?
Yeah. My team leader actually, he didn't cut his hair until Dragon Age was done. Was it Dragon Age?
How
or was
long?
it Neverwinter? It might have been Neverwinter. He could sit on his hair.
Oh yeah. I would be afraid to do that. I just don't have nearly enough hair on the top of my head in order to handle that. But yeah, that's an interesting. Actually, now that you think about it, tradition in video games, like the grow your hair out or don't shave your beard until you're done. I know that Jeff had the beard growing until we got into soft launch.
Oh, is that what was happening? Okay.
I believe so. I think so. He's growing it again, so maybe that's the road to live. I'm not sure,
Maybe.
but yeah, and I know. Well, it was after your time, but I believe that Greg Zeschuk at BioWare was also growing his beard out quite long until the release of Old Republic.
Actually, I
Not
thought
Knights
when...
of, but
Sorry.
go on.
I thought when Jeff was growing his beard out, he began actually to look quite like Greg with his beard.
Really?
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I've only ever had any contact with the brass at BioWare in passing at like conventions and so on. So
Right.
but yeah, I mean, so is that a large, is like a group thing usually? Like I know that there's like hockey teams and things like that. I'll grow their beards out and their mullets out and stuff like that. Till
You're asking the wrong person.
Well, I was gonna say, like, were there any sort of type things that the ladies could participate in that sort of environment, or?
Not that I can think of, no.
Oh, that's too bad.
Sorry.
Were there a lot of other ladies at BioWare? Like earlier in the games industry. I mean, I know that it's sort of a very male centric industry. So
Yeah, when I started, there were no other females in the programming department.
Right.
Over the time I was there were some people joined, and they're still there. So it is the balance is getting better, but it's still mostly in art and writing that the women can be found.
Right. Production as well, I think, is fairly strong with the ladies. I got my start in QA technically, but I moved on to production quite quickly. But I did notice that a lot of the producers I work with were women, which is awesome. I really like that. We're starting to become a little bit less sort of homogenized in that particular way.
Right. And we have a good balance at Alpha Dog too.
It's true. I mean, we're still a lot more guys than ladies, but I mean, it's we're getting better. We've got 3 now.
Yep.
3 of 17. So I mean, like it's a higher percentage than some. Yep. That's for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna try and get too far into like the whole like the challenges of being a woman in the games development industry, but
that's a bit deep.
Yeah. It's a bit deep, and we're also running up on 20 minutes at this point. So, so during the sort of development of this and into Dragon Age and Mass Effect and so on, you kind of worked on a fairly large number of things, I would say. Were there any like particular sort of big steps that you thought that you kind of made with the game programming thing, and you went into audio programming and so on? Do you have a sort of a favorite area that you worked on, or?
I'd say audio was my least favorite.
I've heard that. A lot of people don't seem to like audio very much.
I admire people who can do it. It did not make me happy. I guess my fondest memories are of working on Neverwinter. Things like the encounter system was fun, and we had to go back and forth because not only did we have to write a system for generating reasonably leveled random encounters, but we had to make it work with the scripting language so that other people could tweak it as they wanted to.
Okay, so like a system that basically would make sure that you just didn't straight up die when you're walking around, but was still sort of robust enough that you could that the DM tool still allowed somebody to create like a boss fight with a skeleton or something like that.
Right, so that they wouldn't be repetitive. They would be it would be chosen. The group would be chosen from a selection, and the levels would be balanced so that it was reasonable and was in accordance with the difficulty setting.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. I just remember that the most because it was the first thing I worked on.
Hey, oh, you know, we always remember our first, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still like very vividly remember the first video game that I worked on was a what was that? It was a licensed cartoon based sort of Nintendo DS action game called Shaolin Showdown. That was it wasn't a great game by many stretches of the mind, but it was not an unfun project to have worked on.
Right.
Yeah. I was kind of glad that I got the opportunity to do there and sort of get into it over, you know, and somehow managed to still sort of kickstart a career despite working in a game that, you know, ostensibly did not do amazingly, but
You stopped.
Yep. And I have not yet stopped.
It's this guy again.
Yeah, sorry, I'm kind of aimless here. I'm more interested in this conversation than and I haven't been paying too much attention to my goals. And this was before there were quest markers to tell you where you needed to go. Yeah, but we're running. We're running a little bit long, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. But I really want to thank you for kind of jumping in here and talking with me on this particular one. If you think you might have time, I'd love to continue doing this into another episode.
That's great. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, and I will catch you again real soon.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody, and see you again next time.
Bye-bye.